Hello, everyone. It's been a while since I've been on, and today is going to be a fun lesson that we're going to actually be walking through the differences between a traditional and Roth IRA, and not just like the conceptual differences. I'm actually going to break out a really cool calculator that I found for us to kind of walk through what the real difference is between a traditional and a Roth IRA. So just as a quick disclaimer, Mountain West IRA does not offer investment, tax, financial, or legal advice to clients. We do not promote, endorse, or offer any investments, and individuals who believe they need advice should consult with the appropriate professionals licensed in that area. So just to start, we're going to go over the actual differences between a traditional IRA and a Roth IRA. But before I hop into that, who am I? I'm Megan Galane. I'm the Director of Business Development here at Mountain West IRA. The amazing ladies that you see on this live every day, that is my amazing team. And I love seeing them on and having them share all the IRA stuff. And so I have been in the background a lot lately, and I'm happy to be here today with everyone. But I have been with Mountain West since 2017, so 6 years. Or 2014. And so I've been doing IRAs for a while, love IRAs. I'm a user. I believe 100% what we do can help you plan for retirement. And it's just you taking the action. And I hope today's webinar shows you how, if you were to take action, it can change your life. So traditional IRA, let me make sure you can see my screen. Yes. How does a traditional IRA work? The contribution limits for a traditional IRA current year are $6,000 a year, or $7,000 if you're over the age of 50. Contributions are made out of pocket. So this is just the money that you can put into the traditional IRA a current year. But you can always, using if you've been saving in an IRA, let's say you have a traditional IRA at one of those big banks or something like that, you can always transfer those funds over, and that's an unlimited amount. But just the contribution is $6,000. So traditional IRA, how it works, investing in alternative assets. So you as the IRA owner, and that's in the little corner, IRA owner, puts money into the IRA account. That money, whether it be a contribution, which is out of pocket, a transfer coming from another IRA custodian, or a rollover coming from your old 401k or employer plan. However that money comes over, it goes into that IRA account, whether it's a traditional or a Roth. Then your IRA account here at Mountain West. With your Mountain West IRA account, you would then purchase an investment property. If you want to do property, you can do promissory notes, private placements, precious metals, and then also real estate. So this example is using real estate because it's something I think more people know and understand, and it's a very tangible asset, and so it's a streamlined process. So the investment property, the IRA would actually purchase the investment property, not you personally, the IRA. So with this comes rules, and you are not able to live in that property. You're not able to go do any sweat equity, like if it needs to be repainted or something needs to be repaired, you would have to hire the appropriate professional so that your IRA would then pay that professional to fix the asset. That's an IRS rule, not us. And so that's just one of the ways that having a real estate property in your IRA, that's one of the ways the IRS can basically control, like making sure you are not taking advantage of the system by making sure that the IRA actually pays for repairs and you don't provide any sweat equity. So then you put a renter, third-party renter, arm's length transaction renter. I like to tell clients that you can rent to like your siblings or horizontal family, but not your lineal family. So your lineal family is your parents, grandparents, children, grandchildren, and their spouses. So we do get asked every so often about, can I rent this house to my brother? Well, you can, but I like to tell clients, are you comfortable evicting somebody of your family if it came down to that? Because keep in mind, this investment is in your retirement account. Your whole plan with purchasing real estate within your retirement account is so that you can set yourself up for the future, investing in something that you know and understand. So I like to plan personally worst case scenario when it comes to who I would allow to rent in my properties and stuff like that. So the renter then pays to live in the house, and that money goes back to your IRA account. So they'll just send a check or do ACH into your Mountain West IRA account. And so it's a streamlined process. It's almost like a property manager. Don't make me regret saying this because I'm going to explain it. So listen here, we are not property managers. We just accept the money, and then if you have any repairs, you would tell us or send us an invoice, and then we would send that money to either the contractor or whomever it is to get those repairs fixed for your property. So we are not property managers. We don't make sure rent comes in. That's your job, but we do kind of act as that inner person, inner company that is collecting the rent for the property. You just have to make sure it gets to us from them. So once the IRA owner, comes upon retirement age, which is 59 and a half or 59 and a half after retirement age. And is it still 59 and a half, B?
Yes.
Okay, that's right. For some reason, I was thinking that changed. So 59 and a half retirement age. And you can't take a distribution. Now, this is a traditional IRA. So the distribution, you got a tax write-off when you originally put that money into the IRA. The IRS basically said, hey, thanks for saving your own money to plan for retirement. We're going to give you a break right now. And then when you go to take a distribution later, the IRS is like, hey, remember that one time that we gave you a break and you got an actual write-off? Well, we want our taxes now. So now that you're taking a distribution, you're of retirement age, you use that money to grow your retirement account. Now it's our turn to get some. So when you take that distribution, you then pay the IRS taxes based off of your current income. And so you would have to factor in your current income and be prepared to pay the taxes for current year of when you take the distribution. So you can see here how the IRA really works with a traditional IRA. The traditional IRA, because you got that write-off, you invested, you got all this money from having your renter pay to live in the investment property for as many years as you invested. That money continued to grow tax deferred. You were not getting taxed every year on the payments that the renters were putting into your IRA. So at the end, the IRS is like, we want our share. We gave you that break. We can't give you it all. So they want their taxes then. Now, how the Roth IRA works. The Roth IRA, the IRA owner will put money directly into the Roth IRA. The current year that the IRA owner puts money into the Roth IRA is when the IRA owner would be taxed. So if I were to put $6,000, it's the same contribution limits as the traditional, $6,000 before the age of 50. After the age of 50, it's $7,000. So if I were to put, for me, I'm 28, if I were to put $6,000 into my Roth IRA current year, I would pay taxes current year. It's not anything additional. It just looks like I made $6,000. I made the $6,000. I don't get the write-off for contributing to the Roth IRA. If that does not make sense, tell me in the comments and I will elaborate more. So it's on my taxes. It's normally, if you say like, I contribute to a traditional IRA, it would then like knock off, some of your money. If you were to do it like Quicken or TurboTax or whatever, it would like knock off a certain percentage of the money. But with the Roth IRA, you would say, I contributed to a Roth IRA, and it wouldn't take anything off the bottom line. You're going to pay current year taxes because you are paying the IRS up front. You're saying, hey, IRS, I'm just going to get this out of the way. I'm going to pay current year based on my current income. I'm going to pay the taxes now because I want this money to grow tax-free forever. So the IRA money, the Roth IRA, would then purchase an investment property. Then you would put that renter that you're not afraid to evict if you need to evict them, put that renter into the investment property and start collecting that rent in the Roth IRA. So it's you paid your taxes, you got the renter. Now you're starting to grow your Roth IRA. Again, tax deferred. You never pay taxes on the money that your renter is putting into your Roth IRA because you already pay taxes on the seed of the money. So you already pay taxes on the care that the amount that the IRS cares about. So then 59 and a half or 5 years since you open the IRA, whichever comes later, you can take a distribution from that Roth IRA without any penalties or anything like that. So then the Roth IRA, that money goes directly to you as the owner. The IRS got their share. They're not worried about you taking distributions after retirement because they're like, hey, we already got our money, so you can take distributions as long as you follow the guidelines. We don't want you to put money into a Roth IRA and then 2 years later take it out. You didn't basically earn the tax-free advantage is like the easiest way to say with the Roth IRA. So they do have that limit of 59 and a half or 5 years, whichever comes later, for you to actually invest in the Roth. I personally have a Roth, love the Roth. I think they're a great account. The question that we do get quite a bit is what happens if the government were to take away the Roths? And I don't have a for sure answer. Nobody does because we don't know what they would say. But the reason I want to talk about this, so the reason that they would take it away is because actually, let me go back here. If you were to look at the difference, the IRS is going to get much less in most circumstances with the Roth IRA because you're paying taxes on the seed, not the tree. In the traditional IRA, we're paying taxes on the big tree, not the seed. And so you can see like the amount of taxes depending on the investment, which we'll be going over next. It'll kind of matter. So we do get that question ever so often. I believe it would have to be like grandfathered in. That wouldn't be fair to the people that have paid taxes on that. But that's, my own opinion. Common sense isn't always taken in the government side. So it's a give or take. So this is a really cool calculator. I found John Ira is an ERISA attorney. He is well known in the IRA community because of he actually went against the IRS and won. One of the few cases where the IRA owner actually won. And so this was I found on John Ira's website, and I just thought it was the coolest calculator ever. So we do if you want this, just email accounts. Let me put it at the bottom. Common sense is not common, correct? So I'm going to put, let me put it. If you want this cool calculator, just email accounts@mwira.com and we'll send it to you. So I did put all the disclaimer and stuff so you can play with it, the calculator. So let me see if I can get this a little bit bigger. There we go. All right. So this calculator is 10 years, one flip per year. Sorry, I'm trying to get this. Let's make this smaller. There we go. Okay, so this is one flip per year in your IRA. Now, keep in mind, you cannot do this sweat equity. You would not be able to rehab the house. It would be solely using like a contractor or something like that when we're going over this. So just keep that in mind as we're going so that you know the numbers. So, okay, cool. Now that I think it finally fits the screen. Yeah, there we go. So this is one flip per year in a Roth versus outside of a Roth. So the Roth is the non-taxable account, which is this side right here. I'm going to highlight it. That's the Roth side. And this other side is outside of the IRA. So this is just if I were to do a flip myself, using a contractor, using like the same rules. So we're going to compare apples to apples and make it as simple as possible. So keep in mind, it is pretty good, easy numbers. But it's just showing that this is the Roth IRA, the non-taxable versus when it's getting taxed, okay? Any questions so far, make sure to add it in the comment section. So so currently we're gonna go into this little orange box here on the right. So we're going to do a profit margin. Honestly, a flip profit margin should be about 20%, right? So we're going to do 20%. The starting cash in the Roth IRA is, let's say 50,000, because we are seeing more and more people who are starting their IRAs with less, but aggressively investing, so that they can retire better than they're currently living. Like they're just more aggressive with it, which I'm loving watching because I think that it's pretty awesome. So, and we'll do the current tax at 33%. For outside of the IRA, so like what we would be getting taxed now. So we'll keep that. So you saw when I changed those orange numbers that the numbers over here changed. So we are starting at 50,000. 50,000 outside of the IRA, 50,000 inside of the IRA. And you can see that the profit on the flip right here, they're exactly the same because it's the same 10 flips that we're doing, right? Perfect numbers again, perfect world, perfect numbers. Apples and apples is what we're comparing, so I didn't make it very complicated. So the cash balance, our starting cash is 50,000 on both outside of the IRA, inside of the IRA. The profits are the same on each of the flips. Now the difference is in the Roth IRA, which is that non-taxable account next to the orange area over here. I'm actually just going to highlight it so you guys can see it a little bit better. So this highlighted portion, that the difference between the non-highlighted and the highlighted portion is that the non-highlighted portion gets taxed. Right here, you can see that there's a tax on the profit that you made from the flip. Now, with the non-taxable account, there's no tax because it's in the Roth IRA. You already paid taxes on the $50,000. The IRS doesn't care because they got their money. They're not worried about what you're doing now because they already got their money. If you were to invest outside of the IRA and in your own pocket, you're going to get taxed on that money. So that leaves us after 10 flips, so perfect world, 10 years, one flip per year, at the end of 10 years with $170,000 outside of the IRA. And that's a perfect world that taxes didn't change or go up. That your profits were pretty much steady, and we started with 50%, and you had the 20% profit margin on each asset. So you'll end 10 years with $170,000. Now doing that in a Roth IRA, you'll end 10 years at $309,000. Who here would like to end with 309 versus 170? Just go ahead and let me know in the comments if you'd like a little bit more money. That's actually $139,000, almost $140,000 difference between investing outside of an IRA versus investing inside of a Roth IRA, which is a big difference, right? Now let's take this another 10 years out, and we're going to start. So now we're starting outside of our IRA. Personally, we're starting with $170,000. And inside we're starting at 309 because this isn't, a different 10 years. This is the continuation of and the momentum of the money that you have and the money that you are going to continue to invest in. You're just done with flips. So now we're moving to notes. So an average rate of return for a note that we're seeing is about 8 to 10%. I'm going to do 8% on the low end. Still doing the 33 tax, carrying that over. And from the first page, so this is 10 years, we're building, so we did 10 years of flips, now we're moving on 10 years of notes at an 8% interest, which if you look at your bank statement, your savings account, you're maybe making 0.1%. So you're going to be making a lot more than what the bank could provide you right now. So actually, I'll give you 1%. They may give you 1% now, depending on how much money you have in the bank. But on average, they're giving you nothing. So you can see here, we started the outside of the IRA with $170,000, which goes from right here, 170 170. So we're starting our next 10 years with 170,000. Then in the traditional portion, we're starting our next 10 years, in the Roth portion, and then we're starting our next 10 years with 309. Again, coming from here, 309.58. Here we are, 309 right here. Let me make this actually bigger. Bam, now you can actually see it. Okay, so you can see we're starting with the money from the previous 10 years. So this is no longer the same. Like we are doing apples to apples on the first one. This just opened up a huge playing portion for you and your IRA, your Roth IRA. So at 170,000 outside of your IRA, this is just in your pocket, 170,000 with an 8% return on your investment, you'll end 10 years with $287,000. We started this 10 years with 309 just in the Roth IRA, so $287,000. Now that's going 10 years of notes, 10 years of 8%, no issues, but you're getting taxed on it. You are going to keep getting taxed on that money because there's no limit. The IRS is going to keep taking the money because it's not in a tax sheltered account. Now in the Roth IRA, we're starting at 309, which comes from the previous 10 years of doing one flip per year. And we're doing an 8% return with 33% taxes, but it doesn't matter because the Roth IRA, you already paid taxes 10 years ago. They don't care about the taxes anymore. So I hope you guys get this reoccurring theme that like the money's in the Roth IRA, you already paid taxes. Now you have the opportunity to continue and grow. So we're in the 309. 10 years of this 8% return, we end with $668,000. Now, that's perfect, 8%. Literally 8% growth year after year is what we're working with here in doing 10 years of investing in a Roth IRA. This is money that you set aside for your retirement that you chose to take the initiative for and actually focus on every year, making sure that your Roth IRA continues to grow. So the difference between outside of your IRA and inside of your Roth IRA at the end of another 10-year cycle is $381,000. That's crazy when we look at the difference. The first 10 years, $139,000, kind of cool, right? It's a lot of money. You could buy a whole house in cash here in Florida. But $381,000 difference now because you chose to actually start investing your money within your Roth IRA and start building your retirement. So let's look at what that does for your retirement. This is 20 years of investing, which, because I can see who likes it and who's on and stuff. Half the people who like this, you're around the same age I am, or you're very close to it, where you have probably an additional 10, 20 years to invest. Imagine what you could do if you were to be doing this in a Roth. Yes, you've been sleeping on your Roth IRA. The Roth IRA is so amazing. So we're going to, this is actually, what is this? So how the distributing profits at 12%, let's do 8% again. So this is actually taking your distributions for 25 years, a retirement age 59 and a half, so say 60, 25-ish years. You're looking at about 85-ish. Remember, you can always extend this out. This is, again, perfect numbers. So this is going to be, rate of return is 8%, so you're taking that money out at 8%. And then you'll have your taxes, again, 33%. That's in a perfect world. The chances of the taxes not changing in 20 years is pretty slim to none. So this is, again, perfect world carrying on for what our current tax brackets are. This can always change, and when we continue to add programs and stuff like that, when it comes to government, our taxes will end up changing because somebody has to be funding those programs, right? Okay, so the outside of your IRA, which is this side, is, oh, the net cash is missing. We'll have to do some math here. I don't know why that's missing. Okay, so the 22,999 minus 7,580. Okay, so your net cash is 15,389. So that's what the net would be all the way down here. So investing outside of your IRA, but for retirement, we're still saying that's for retirement money. You had a return on your investment at 8%, about $22,900, so say $23,000. Then you get taxed every single year that you have that money. So your net cash that you'll be retiring with annually is $15,000. That's annually. Now, in your Roth IRA, it doesn't matter about taxes. I don't know if I've hammered this one in enough. The Roth IRA doesn't matter about taxes, but our initial cash amount, remember, was $668. And so the initial cash amount that we are starting our retirement with is much higher, and we already paid our taxes. So the Roth IRA, you don't have to pay taxes when you take a distribution because you're of retirement age. You waited 5 years since you opened the account, and now you get to take your Roth IRA distributions fair and square and without paying taxes. So your net cash annually is $53,000. So I know 53 seems like pretty low to live off of forever, but you'd be surprised because if you're not investing in a Roth IRA, you're living off 15,000 versus 53. And again, this is perfect world. You're allowed to do more investments. This is just saying 10 flips, 10 notes. These are promissory notes. So the promissory notes are very hands-off. This is what I like to actually invest in personally. You get a lower rate of return versus the 20% that you were getting on the rehabs, but it's very hands-off because you act like the bank, which again, you could do in your Mountain West IRA account, but you can see how the return on the money you have the momentum continue to grow and really set you apart at $381,000 versus, at $381,000. You can see the difference here at retiring at $15,000 a year versus $53,000 a year on a very, very stable, conservative number of what you could be retiring at. Like, these are not unrealistic numbers. Our clients are getting way more than this. I did very conservative numbers because this is actually more of the numbers I use when I invest and the numbers I'm looking at. But we have, depending on what your education is and with real estate, with retirement, stuff like that, you may be able to have a really cool transaction where you make, let's say you make 100%, or no, it's a little dramatic. Let's say you make 50%. So we'll go here, our profit margin 50%. You have one amazing flip every single year for 10 years. The difference here, just starting cash at 50,000, but having a profit margin of 50,000, literally separates $2 million. Then we go here, and then we go conservative at 8%. The difference is almost $5 million. And then your retirement, you're looking at, this number is not right because that's a number I added. So 113 minus 37. So whatever that is, like, you're looking at a much different retirement at 500,000 versus 980, 900. Let's say 85,000 here, net cash, versus 500,000. So it's a pretty big difference. Like, this is what makes the Roth IRA the Roth IRA, and what makes it such a cool asset for you to actually start planning your retirement. Because as you can see, like, it's in a Roth IRA. So for you to take the money outside of the Roth IRA, it's going to be more work than taking it out of your pocket. So you continuously using the Roth IRA to grow your retirement, it's basically that nest for you to just continue to grow and invest and do fun things like that, like the real estate, like the promissory notes, like investing in private companies. Yes, there's always a risk. Like I said, like we do not promise anything. This is based off of your education, your knowledge, the investments that you choose. All I do is help you set up the IRA that allows you to invest in real estate, in promissory notes, private placements, and precious metals. So you can see the difference if you actually start using the Roth IRA versus not doing this within a Roth IRA, and where it can put you in your retirement years. Very often we don't think, I know my generation, I'm going to speak on my generation, we do not think about 20, 30 years in the future because our world has been changing forever. We've had, electronics, we've had like everything going on. Like our world changes so fast. And so we may not think 20, 30, 40 years in the future, but why wouldn't you take the advantage now? If you're already saving for retirement, you're already starting to do some real estate investing, why wouldn't you do that in your Roth IRA? Like that's the question that I have to ask, because if you were to just do this in a Roth IRA now, what could the chances are? So our minimum investment is $500, but you'll want to actually, and that's a great question, Cherish. So you'll actually want to start contributing, and you'll only want to move your account to us when you're ready to invest in real estate or promissory notes. It doesn't do any good here just sitting. So whatever you do put into your retirement account here, you want to invest. Now, with that being said, you can open up accounts for yourself, your loved ones, your children. My youngest client is 1 year old, 1 year. And his dad, it partners his IRA, his dad's IRA and his son's IRA. They partner it together. He partners it and does investments, and now is starting to grow his son's retirement at 1 year, like one. That is their birthday present when they are a baby. And so whatever you're doing, you do on a partner. But if you were to start an IRA, a Roth IRA or a traditional IRA, have one started and you want to move that over, the minimum investment for each account opened is $500. You can partner as many accounts as you wish on a transaction. So you can do kind of like a group economics type of thought process where you can partner so many IRAs. The only thing is each IRA will have its own fees per investment. So every IRA, it has their fees. And then you'll also just want to keep in mind however many people, that's however many opinions you have. So the larger, the more people that we normally have on an asset, it's normally one person controlling it. We have a family, I want to say it's a grandpa, I can't remember, but he opened up accounts for each one of his grandchildren. So there's a total of 7 total accounts on one asset, but he controls all 7 of those accounts. So it makes decisions a lot easier. So just keep that in mind. We do see divorce happens where the wife and the husband did a 50-50 purchase on an asset. And when they divorce, they end up having to sell the asset because either they can't get along, they can't communicate, or one of them was controlling the asset and the investment, so the other one doesn't know what's going on, and they don't want that. They just want it to sit in a safe account, making 2% interest. So there's the differences of what the investments look like, but we see it all. We also have divorces, thankfully, that we have one recently actually where they got divorced. They filled out all the paperwork and stuff, but the ex-husband is still controlling the assets because he was doing the investing. So they still do a lot of actually investing together, and he actually they work together on investments, and it's a really cool situation that they've just been able to continue to grow their assets together and use the money. And he makes sure basically that she's going to be set up for retirement still. And it's a really cool situation. That one's more recent. Yeah, basically, but it's really, you can work together. And that's the whole thing I'm trying to say is, yes, the current investment, the lowest amount is $500, but every year you can invest $6,000 to the Roth IRA, to the traditional IRA. And because you can put $6,000, let's say you get 5 people at $6,000, that's $30,000-ish. I totally think I messed up that math, but yeah, I totally messed up that math. And so, but you can purchase a house, and then if all the money is in retirement accounts, you can get a non-recourse loan and actually leverage the Roth IRA money. So you can actually get a loan. This example that I gave is perfect world using cash only, but outside of the cash only perfect world, you can get a non-recourse loan. And as long as all the investors are using IRA funds, you can do that. And so imagine, partnering a few people or your kids or whomever into an Roth IRA, or everybody using Roth IRA to purchase an asset, then getting a non-recourse loan on top of it, which I have lenders right now for non-recourse loans where they're just as competitive as loans outside of the IRA because they have money sitting there, and they're actually our clients who own the bank, and they understand IRAs and the amount of foreclosures and short sales and stuff that we have within IRAs is so low because it's people with their retirement accounts. You want to put a renter in there and start making money on your retirement, that they actually went super aggressive with their non-recourse loan, and it's almost not as low as the current outside of IRA numbers, but it's almost as low. And I think the last time I talked to them, it was like 3 or 4% interest, 20% down. That's like a way amazing loan, but the average non-recourse loan is 30 to 40% down right now, and I've seen as much as about 6% interest lately. So it is a little bit more expensive money when it comes to like the actual investing portion, but it's all in a Roth IRA, so it grows tax-free forever. And with getting a non-recourse loan in a Roth IRA, you actually get some tax benefits. So super cool stuff. Call us if you have questions. Email us if you want this calculator, if you want to play with the calculator some. And we could send this calculator to you. Let me put our phone number, 866-377-3311, right here at the bottom. Actually, let me take that down. Let me try and fix this. I have to take it down to fix it. 866-377-3311. Bam. So you can call us any questions you have. Email us if you want this calculator, any of the information that we talked about today on the live. Today is Thursday, so we're done for the week. This is wrapping up our week of live, but we do go live next Tuesday, so make sure to join us. I'm sorry, I'm not prepared. I don't know what Tuesday is, but it's on the Facebook page, I'm sure already. So make sure to subscribe, do all the things to make sure you get notifications on our next live, which is on Tuesday. So have an amazing day. Call us, email us if you have any questions about Roth IRAs. We're happy to help you. Have a great day.